You're watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
Thank you so much for joining us. 6 a.m. on your Friday. I'm Eric Connor.
And I'm Evan Irani. We appreciate you being with us. It's Friday, and a lot of people were hoping to kind of breeze through,
Right, yeah.
maybe making their return flights.
Not if you had a
San
flight,
Diego.
yeah.
Nope, not today. Dense fog continues to be a big issue at the coast. You're looking live at Hotel Del Coronado. Earlier this morning, we had this as quite a socked-in view. We're starting to see some steady improvements, but the big trouble that we're seeing in terms of visibility is exclusively downtown. You see that perfect 10 miles of visibility from Fallbrook all the way down through Kearny Mesa, and then at San Diego International, that is a 0.5 miles of visibility, meaning half a mile of visibility right now. So it is not a surprise that we're seeing some delays and cancellations out of that airport. We'll of course keep you up to date as the morning progresses.
We want to get to some breaking news. We are following at least one person is dead after a crash in Mission Bay. It happened just before 5:30 this morning on Quivira Court, so just about a half hour ago. And boy, you can see the mangled wreck. It was around a tree. No word on what caused the crash at this point, but you can see there is heavy fog that people were contending with in this area. We are working right now to gather more information on what may have led up to this crash. So keep it right here on CBS 8.
And right now there are, of course, lots of cancellations and delays, as we mentioned, out of San Diego International.
Yep, dense fog advisory in effect until 10 a.m. for coastal areas, and it is impacting the airport. For more on that, let's check in with CBS 8's Chris Groh.
Yeah, so right now we're looking at dozens of cancellations and delays because of that fog. We know there was a ground stop overnight. They didn't end until about 5:02 here in the morning local time, and a lot of people coming into the airport finding out their flight has been delayed, not even just by a couple minutes here, but by several hours. And I want to bring in Laura here, who is visiting San Diego, trying to get back home over to D.C. What's your situation looking like right now?
So we were originally on a layover in Chicago, and now we're on a layover in Dallas, which we were unaware of, but it's okay. We're getting there a little bit later. We were supposed to leave at 6, and now we're leaving at 1 p.m. Getting there at midnight, so it's a little rough, but we're happy to have a flight at least.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know some of the frustrations have been sort of like communication with airlines. How's that been going with you guys?
It was a little frustrating getting here and not knowing that our flight wasn't even here. We found out basically once we got our tickets on the kiosk, and then we had to go figure everything out. We only got 3 of our 6 tickets, so we had to wait in a long line to talk to the people. They were very helpful, though.
Okay. And then not looking like until about 1 o'clock, you said?
Yeah,
So,
3 of us?
yeah.
3 of us are leaving at 1, and 3 of us are leaving at 2, so they separated our party.
Well, again, hopefully, again, that you guys get to your destination at least today, right? So thank you again so much for joining us, Laura, and giving us a little bit of insight. And Happy New Year to you and your niece. Nice to meet you as well, too. So that's a very similar story to what we've just been hearing by being here in the Terminal 2. And just remember, we're only here by American right now. You can see a number of people that are getting their boarding passes and so forth, but many of them are finding out that that time of departure has changed completely. Now, I want to update you because just before we came on air here, we actually just saw that the number of delays has gone up by about 8 from our last update. They're sitting at 58 delays coming out of San Diego International Airport right now. Cancellations still sitting steady at 38. So that is a bit of good news, but just to give you a heads up here, if you're watching this right now and you do have a flight that is happening later today, or maybe you aren't getting to the airport quite as early because you've seen those delays, that may not be a good idea. You may want to get here, check in, see if it is that you can get on some other sort of flight, maybe add that connection and so forth. The other thing is here too, is that just because we are not seeing a high number of cancellations right now, that does not mean we will not see them at a later time, because as we know, when delays happen, flight crews, they have that running clock. They could all of a sudden not be able to fly, and they may not be able to get another flight crew. So we could potentially see further cancellations, even though, as we've pointed out, the fog has been kind of coming and going, if you will. Eric and Evan.
And a show of resilience, this morning, Bourbon Street in New Orleans is back open after Wednesday morning's deadly attack.
Authorities have now clarified that 14 people were killed when a man drove a truck into throngs of people. And as CBS News' Katie Weiss reports, residents and visitors there say they won't live in fear.
Crowds returned to Bourbon Street Thursday, along with extra police presence.
We're not going to be scared or terrorized. New Orleans is going to keep going like we always do.
Authorities now say the man who rammed a truck through crowds celebrating the new year early Wednesday acted alone.
We're confident at this point that there is no accomplices.
The FBI says Shamsuddin Jabbar rented an electric truck on Monday in Houston, Texas, where he lived, and drove to New Orleans on Tuesday evening. After midnight on the morning of the attack, he placed 2 improvised explosive devices in coolers in the French Quarter. He posted a final online video proclaiming support for ISIS just minutes before he plowed into the crowd on Bourbon Street.
I'm devastated.
CBS spoke with the attacker's brother.
Still finding it hard to believe that this is actually happening.
But it did happen, and now 14 families are mourning the loss of lives cut tragically short.
Like 27-year-old mom Nicole Perez.
She worked so hard. She had a lot of dreams.
And 25-year-old Matthew Tenedorio, who worked at the Superdome.
He was just a very loving, everybody's friend kind of person.
Yesterday, the postponed Sugar Bowl was played at the Superdome after a message from President Joe Biden.
The spirit of New Orleans can never be kept down.
And a moment of silence for the victims. Katie Weiss, CBS News, New Orleans.
And 2 police officers who were hurt have now been released from the hospital. A San Diego State University student, 19-year-old Steele Idelson, remains in critical condition. Despite similarities to the attack in New Orleans, authorities say they don't have evidence linking it to the Cybertruck explosion outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Authorities believe 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger was the driver. He was an active-duty, highly decorated Army Special Forces Master Sergeant. Investigators are still trying to figure out why he shot himself and then detonated a bomb in that truck.
This morning, there is a hearing on the gun violence emergency protective order for the Carlsbad man accused of plotting a mass shooting at a government building. Police served 20-year-old Alexander Paffendorf with the gun violence restraining order on December 17th. Police say he communicated with 15-year-old Natalie Samantha Rupnow, who carried out the fatal shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin. Paffendorf allegedly expressed his own plans to carry out a deadly attack against a government building. A man accused of setting fire to the abandoned In Cahoots building in Mission Valley is expected to make his first court appearance today. The building burned on Christmas Day. Investigators say 47-year-old Joel Humphrey was taken into custody on New Year's Eve. He has been charged with arson. Authorities do not believe he is connected to another fire at the same spot in October. This morning, a longtime staple of San Diego's food scene is closed for health violations. Las Cuatro Milpas in Barrio Logan was closed by the Department of Environmental Health a few days ago. State officials say there were signs of a vermin infestation. Las Cuatro Milpas has been open since 1933. Landmark Cinemas in Hillcrest is closing its doors for good on Sunday. The theater opened in November of 1991. People would visit the Landmark Cinemas to watch independent-style films. So far, there is no word on any new potential tenant. Taking a peek outside here, lots of fog to deal with on this Friday morning.
Yeah, especially in the downtown area. That's really the center of where that fog is located. Live look outside shows these are the downtown buildings, all the high rises out there that are kind of socked in as we speak. It has come and gone at times, meaning that there were some improvements made. We were at about 3 and 4 miles of visibility temporarily. Now that fog is surged back on shore, and it is exclusive to that downtown area, whereas every other part of the county, inland valleys, they are clear. Everywhere north of Kearney Mesa, looking okay. That's not to say that we don't have clouds out there, but in terms of that dense fog down by the surface, that's where we are running into the biggest issue is downtown. 64 degrees in the afternoon hours. We have a couple hours to go on that. 70 across our inland valleys, cooler than what we saw yesterday. Yesterday brought us to pretty comfortable temperatures out there. In fact, it almost felt like summer out there, depending on where you were. There were some spots that hit the low 80s. So a very, very nice day, and now a progressive cooling trend through tomorrow. This is a picture that was sent in on our CBS 8 app from Julie. I want to thank you, Julie, for sending this in from Oceanside, and just goes to show what a clear sunset we had yesterday. But in the meantime, we're still working with this dense cloud cover out there. Sunrise coming at 6:51, and that sunset at 4:56. When we look at your conditions right now, we're at 47 degrees in Carlsbad, 45 in Santee, 46 in Chula Vista, and 48 in San Diego, under cloudy skies through the majority of the county. And then that little icon there indicates where we could run into a little bit of fog. That's mainly San Diego and the South Bay. Looking at your temperatures, 38 degrees in Ramona, 46 in Escondido, 47 in Carlsbad. A little bit warmer now thanks to the cloud cover compared to yesterday. Checking in on your drive times outside, we are seeing a pretty smooth morning commute on the 805 northbound, the 94 westbound, and the 5 southbound. That's a 60 or so mile per hour commute. Let's take a look at your border wait times right now, where it is an 80-minute wait at the San Ysidro Port of Entry, about an hour 20, a little faster than yesterday. Otay Mesa Port of Entry can get you across much faster. It should only take you about 30 minutes to get across.